Dissolved. No clusters, no concentrations, no communities. Ideological dilution. Brandt's turn came in August 1945. He was called to Building 1, administrative wing, desk, civilian clerk, stamped papers, new name, Lucas Bernard, new birthplace, Strasbourg, France, new profession, agricultural laborer, new religion, Catholic, new documents, new identity. The clerk said, "You no longer exist." Not threatening, not dramatic, administrative. "You will never use your former name." Pause. "You will never reference Facility 17." Pause. "You will never contact anyone from your previous life." Pause. "You will never seek other subjects." Pause. "If you do, you will be classified as ideological recurrence risk." Brandt asked, "What does that mean?" The clerk answered, "Reprocessing." Brandt was escorted out through a gate he had never seen before. No fence, no guards, just a road, a civilian car, a driver, a suitcase with clothes, some money, documents, and silence. He was dropped in a French farming village, given a job, a room, a new life. People accepted his papers. No questions, no checks. No suspicion. The world moved on, like the war had never happened, like Facility 17 had never existed. For years, Brandt lived quietly, worked, ate, slept, prayed, spoke French, forgot German, buried his past, built a new identity, a new mind, a new life. Then, in 1952, he saw something that froze his blood. A man in a market. Face older, eyes familiar. Scar on the cheek. One of Group Green. Released. Reassigned. Living under a new name. They made eye contact. Recognition. Instant. Both froze. Neither spoke. Neither approached. Neither acknowledged. They walked past each other like strangers. But Brandt knew. The system had worked. They were distributed, scattered across the world, disconnected, isolated, neutralized. That night, Brandt found an envelope in his room. No return address. Inside, one page. Typed. Only one sentence. Facility 17 is still active. The envelope had no fingerprints, no stamp, no address, no postmark, no cent. Just paper. One sentence. Facility 17 is still active. And the red symbol, the null mark. Brandt didn't sleep that night. Not from fear, from understanding. Because if Facility 17 still existed, then it was never a wartime project. It was a post-war system. 3 weeks later, another envelope arrived, this time with coordinates. No message, no explanation, just numbers, latitude, longitude. Brandt memorized them, burned the paper, and for the first time in 7 years, he broke protocol. He traveled. The coordinates led to northern Italy, a mountain region, old industrial zone, abandoned factory complex, rusting gates, broken signage, collapsed smokestacks. Looks like nothing. Feels like nothing. But Brandt recognized the structure immediately. The layout, the fencing patterns, the access roads, the power infrastructure, the perimeter logic. It wasn't abandoned. It was inactive, decommissioned, but not destroyed. Inside one building, behind a false wall, he found it. A symbol carved into concrete. Same as Facility 17. Same marking style, same depth, same tool pattern. Meaning, this was a node. Brandt understood. Facility 17 wasn't a place. It was a template, a model, a design system, a modular structure, copy-paste ideology engineering. Over the next years, he found more. France, Austria, Belgium, Netherlands, Poland, Czechoslovakia, all decommissioned, all hidden, all erased from records, all structured identically, all bearing the same symbol. The network wasn't large, but it was precise, selective, targeted, surgical, not mass processing, not genocide, not punishment, behavioral filtration. Then Brandt realized the final truth. The Allies didn't try to rebuild Germany. They tried to rebuild Germans. He found one man in Switzerland, former subject, former Group Green, living as a school teacher. They spoke in private, for hours. The man confirmed everything. More sites, more programs, more categories. But he added something new. There's a second phase. Brandt asked, "What phase?" The man answered, "They stopped filtering Germans." Pause. They started filtering everyone. Brandt felt the room spin. "What do you mean?" The man whispered, "Post-war extremists, radicalized populations, political cults, authoritarian movements, mass ideology structures." Pause. "Different flags." Pause. "Same psychology." Then he said the most terrifying sentence yet. Facility 17 wasn't about Nazism. Pause. It was a prototype for ideological containment. Brandt understood. This system wasn't German-specific. It wasn't Nazi-specific. It wasn't even war-specific. It was universal. Any belief system, any ideology, any movement, any mass psychology that reached a critical risk threshold could be filtered, processed, neutralized. Not with bombs, not with prisons, not with courts, not with executions, but with psychological architecture, identity restructuring, belief dismantling, social redistribution, narrative control, memory erasure, cultural dilution, no martyrs, no heroes, no movements, no symbols, no resistance, just quiet disappearance. Brandt realized something darker. This system was invisible. No laws, no treaties, no governments, no flags, no accountability, no records, no history, no archives, no memorials. The perfect system, because nothing existed to expose. In 1963, Brandt received his final envelope. Inside, a photo. Modern, color, satellite image. A facility under construction. Mountains, forests, remote. Modern architecture. Solar arrays. Communications towers. No fences, no walls, no guards visible. But underground structures were obvious. Deep foundations, heavy shielding, infrastructure density, below-ground complex, coordinates. And one sentence, Facility 17 was version 1. At the bottom, Brandt never went. He burned the photo, burned the paper, and made a decision. He would not fight the system. He would not expose it. He would not confront it. He would do something far more dangerous. He would remember it, because systems like this survive through secrecy, through silence, through absence of witnesses, through erased memory. Brandt began writing, not reports, not documents, not records, stories, allegories, metaphors, novels, short stories, narratives, Symbols, hidden structures, hidden patterns, encoded truths. Not evidence, not proof, but ideas. He published nothing under his name. Only pseudonyms, only fragments, only scattered narratives across countries, across languages, across genres. No single source, no central story, no traceable origin. Because the only thing stronger than control systems is distributed memory. Brant died in 1989, quietly. No obituary, no recognition, no history books, no records, no archives, just a man, with a false name, in a small French village, buried under a stone that read, Lucas Bernard, 1923 to 1989. A good man, but Facility 17 didn't die. It evolved, it scaled, it modernized, it digitized, it went silent, it went algorithmic, it went invisible. Final Truth Reveal, Hook Setup for Part 6. Because the system no longer needs camps, it no longer needs buildings, it no longer needs fences, it no longer needs guards, it only needs data, behavior, psychology, identity modeling, belief mapping, social networks, predictive algorithms, risk profiling, narrative shaping, digital filtration. Modern Facility 17 has no walls, no gates, no fences, no symbols, no locations. It's a system. After Brant's death, there were no more envelopes, no more symbols, no more coordinates, no more messages. Not because the system ended, but because it no longer needed messengers. By the late 1990s, Facility 17 no longer existed as infrastructure. No compounds, no buildings, no underground complexes, no classrooms, no isolation rooms, no processing halls. Those were inefficient, slow, risky, traceable, visible. The system evolved. It moved into networks, databases, universities, research institutes, behavioral science departments, psychological think tanks, security agencies, tech labs, policy groups. No single center, no central authority, just interconnected nodes, each one doing a small part, no one seeing the full picture. The purpose stayed the same, not to control people, not to rule them, not to enslave them, but to filter mass ideology risk. Before it became violent, before it became organized, before it became powerful, before it became a movement. In the old system, they filtered individuals. Now they filtered patterns, behavior clusters, language trends, narrative formations, radicalization curves, belief acceleration rates, social cohesion breakdowns, identity polarization metrics, not people, probabilities. The new process looked harmless. Research, analytics, risk assessment, policy design, community intervention, education reform, media strategy, algorithm tuning, content moderation, narrative framing, soft words, neutral words, bureaucratic words, no arrests, no camps, no prisons, no disappearances, no removals. Just redirection. When a belief system showed destabilization patterns, its leaders lost platforms, its narratives lost reach, its funding dried up, its social visibility collapsed, its internal cohesion fractured, its legitimacy eroded, its followers scattered, not violently, not forcefully, organically, digitally, socially, psychologically, not suppression, entropy engineering. By 2010, the system was automated. Not by one AI, not by one program, By layers. Models predicting ideological volatility. Models predicting identity radicalization. Models predicting belief convergence. Models predicting group polarization. Models predicting violence probability. Not who people were, who they were becoming. The modern version of Facility 17 didn't care about flags, didn't care about countries, didn't care about races, didn't care about religions, didn't care about ideologies. It only tracked one variable: destabilization risk. Brandt's original classification system still existed. Green equals adaptive, yellow equals volatile, red equals escalating, black equals irreversible. But now it applied to movements, not men. No one was removed. No one was erased. No one was neutralized physically. They were simply deplatformed, demonetized, decentralized, de-amplified, delegitimized, defragmented. No martyrs, no symbols, no heroes, no stories, no legends, no revolutions, no movements. Because nothing kills ideology faster than irrelevance. The genius of the system: it doesn't fight belief, it floods it. It doesn't silence voices, it drowns them. It doesn't ban narratives, it buries them. Information overload, narrative saturation, cognitive exhaustion, emotional fatigue, meaning dilution, not oppression, psychological suffocation. In this world, Facility 17 isn't a place. It's not even a system. It's a process, a function, a background mechanism, like gravity, invisible, constant, unnoticed. And the most terrifying part? It works, not because people are controlled, but because people are predictable. Behavior patterns repeat. Group psychology loops. Identity cycles recur. Radicalization follows curves. History follows structures. The system doesn't change humans. It uses what humans already are. Cliffhanger setup for final arc. Because Brandt was wrong about one thing, the system doesn't prevent ideology. It doesn't stop extremism. It doesn't eliminate radicalization. It only manages the damage. And every system that manages damage accepts a certain level of destruction as acceptable, as necessary, as tolerable. Which means some movements are allowed to rise. Some ideologies are allowed to grow. Some conflicts are allowed to happen. Some violence is allowed to occur. Some chaos is permitted. Not because it's good, but because it's useful. The system believed in one principle above all: controlled instability is safer than total control, because total control creates pressure, and pressure always finds a way to explode. So Facility 17's modern form didn't seek peace. It didn't seek harmony. It didn't seek unity. It sought balance. A moving equilibrium. A managed chaos. A predictable disorder. The models had a term for it: acceptable destabilization. A calculated level of conflict that keeps societies dynamic but not collapsing. Protests are fine. Polarization is fine. Radical voices are fine. Anger is fine. Division is fine. As long as it doesn't cross the threshold. The threshold had a name: cascading ideological convergence. It means when multiple belief systems align emotionally, psychologically, and structurally at the same time. Not agreement. Synchronization. Different ideologies. Different movements. Different cultures. Different grievances. But same emotional state. Same psychological energy. Same mass behavior patterns. That's when revolutions happen. That's when empires fall. That's when systems collapse. For decades, the system prevented that convergence. fragmentation, narrative dilution, internal conflict, identity splintering, movement fracturing, divide everything, connect nothing. Then something changed. Not politically, not economically, not militarily, digitally. Social platforms created mass synchronization. Algorithms didn't just spread content. They synchronized emotion, fear, anger, outrage, identity, belonging, victimhood, moral certainty, across borders, across cultures, across ideologies. For the first time in history, human emotional states became globally aligned in real time. The system couldn't fragment fast enough. It couldn't dilute fast enough. It couldn't redirect fast enough. It couldn't drown narratives fast enough. The models started showing new patterns: resonance clusters, emotional harmonics, ideological echo convergence, cross-movement synchronization, different beliefs, same psychology. The system flagged a new category: Omega-level events, not wars, not revolutions, not uprisings, but mass psychological shifts, civilizational mood swings, collective identity reconfiguration. Brandt's original files predicted this. One hidden manuscript line read, "The danger is not ideology. It is synchronized meaning." The modern system began losing control, not failing, not collapsing, but slipping. Instead of filtering individuals, it now tried to filter information flows, narratives, symbols, language, memes, cultural signals, story structures, emotional triggers. But meaning travels faster than control systems, always has. Then came the anomaly, a pattern the models couldn't classify. Not a movement, not a belief system, not an ideology, not a religion, not a political structure. A meta-identity, people not uniting around ideas, but around distrust of systems themselves. Not left, not right, not religious, not nationalist, not globalist, just anti-structure psychology. No leaders, no flags, no doctrines, no symbols, no hierarchy, no ideology, just one shared belief. Nothing that claims authority is legitimate. The system couldn't fragment it because it had no structure. The system couldn't deplatform it because it had no leaders. The system couldn't drown it because it wasn't content-based. The system couldn't dilute it because it wasn't ideological. It was psychological. The models labeled it post-ideological identity formation. For the first time since Facility 17 was created, there was a belief structure that could not be filtered, because it didn't behave like belief. It behaved like instinct. The system flagged a new status: non-modellable population segment, meaning unpredictable, unclassifiable, uncontrollable, unfilterable. And that triggered the final protocol, the one that had never been used before, the one Brandt never saw, the one not written in any files, the one only referenced once in the entire archive system. Protocol 0. No definition, no description, no documentation, just one line. Activated only if human behavior exceeds systemic prediction capacity. Protocol 0 was never meant to be activated, not because it was dangerous, but because it meant failure. Not system failure, model failure. The admission that human behavior had exceeded prediction. Facility 17's entire logic was built on one belief: that humans are pattern-based systems, predictable, modelable, segmentable, classifiable, filterable. That identity can be mapped. That belief can be engineered. That ideology can be managed. Protocol 0 exists for one scenario only: When humans stop behaving like systems. The first internal report described it simply: we no longer observe ideological movements. We observe identity collapse. Not radicalization, not extremism, not polarization, but meaning exhaustion. People stopped trusting institutions, stopped trusting narratives, stopped trusting media, stopped trusting leaders, stopped trusting ideologies, stopped trusting systems, not selectively, universally. The system tried to intervene, but there was nothing to intervene in, no leaders to remove, no movements to fragment, no narratives to drown, no platforms to regulate, no ideologies to destabilize. Because the new identity structure was, nothing is legitimate. Protocol Zero does not attempt control. It does not attempt filtering. It does not attempt redirection. It does not attempt suppression. It does not attempt management. Protocol Zero only does one thing: observation. The system stops intervening, stops shaping, stops adjusting, stops influencing, stops engineering, stops managing. It becomes a witness. Why? Because interference makes instability worse. Because intervention accelerates collapse. Because manipulation amplifies distrust. Because control systems become targets. Because management becomes proof of illegitimacy. So Protocol Zero means let it happen. Not chaos, not collapse, not destruction, but uncontrolled evolution. Human systems reorganizing without structure, identity forming without ideology, belief forming without doctrine, communities forming without hierarchy, order forming without authority, not utopia, not dystopia, unknown. The final facility. 17 document ever written says, we were built to prevent catastrophe. But catastrophe is a form of change, and not all change is preventable or wrong. The last system model shows 3 futures: managed stability, system control, total collapse, civilizational failure, emergent order, unpredictable evolution. Protocol Zero selects option 3, not because it is safest, but because it is the only one that is human. The final line in the archive: you cannot engineer meaning, you can only survive its transformation. And that's the truth of Facility 17. It was never built to save the world. It was built to delay it. Delay collapse. Delay chaos. Delay transformation. Delay evolution. But evolution always wins.